2015-2016 School Grants for Healthy Kids webinar. I am Hannah Laughlin. I'm the Senior Field Manager at Action for Healthy Kids. I'm joined today by Caroline Rafael Blanco and Ellen Dillon, our other field managers here at Action for Healthy Kids, to let you know a little bit more about the 2015-2016 grant that you have received. And we're really excited to kick off your school year with that grant and make sure that you're starting school in a healthy way. I'm going to start with just a couple of logistics for you. You're using a technology today that is called GoToWebinar. You may or may not be familiar with it, so I wanted to make sure that you know the basics before we get started. You have logged in and either called in or are listening to the webinar on the speakers of your computer, and everyone is muted today so that we can minimize the background feedback. Because you're muted, if you're interested in submitting a question, you'll want to look at your control panel, which is probably on the right side of your screen, and find the questions box. If you have any questions about any of the content that is talked about during this webinar, feel free to submit it in the questions box, and we will respond to those one-on-one, as well as share some of them out loud near the end of the call. This call is being recorded today, so after the webinar, the link to the recording and the slides and some additional follow-up materials will be sent out. So look for that email either tomorrow or the following day, but do know that the call is being recorded, so don't feel like you have to take furious notes or anything to remember what we're saying, as you can go back and listen to it again later. Our agenda for today is going to be a basic introduction for Action for Healthy Kids, for those of you who aren't familiar with our organization, a discussion about the awarded schools and the school wellness initiatives that we have here. We're going to tell you about our technical assistance model and our Action for Healthy Kids state coordinators who can help you in your state implement the grant that you received. We're going to tell you more about resources and webinars that can help you as you implement your grant, as well as grant requirements for reporting and budgeting, as well as Every Kid Healthy Week. And then we're going to tell you a little bit more about next steps. So we want to again reiterate congratulations to you for the award that you got at your school. Congratulations on focusing on healthy kids and getting kids in your school ready to learn, and dedicating some time away from all of the discussions about academics to talk about health and how they actually support students. We know that healthy kids make better learners, and by working with Action for Healthy Kids, we hope that you see some of those academic advantages of healthy students in your schools. So we know that there is a epidemic in children's health around the country around overweight kids. And Action for Healthy Kids is a national nonprofit that helps work through teams in states across the country to help fight childhood obesity, undernourishment, and physical inactivity by helping schools focus on healthy eating and physical activity initiatives so that they can become healthier places for kids to learn. The Action for Healthy Kids model is outlined by a three-tiered system, and we call it Learn, Act, Transform. We work with schools around the country to make sure that they're learning about the issue of that healthy kids make better learners. They're exploring solutions, and they're empowering others in their building to do the same and learn about it. We're then hoping that once they learn about it, they act. They take some steps to make their schools and the kids in their schools healthier places for not only being in that school building, but also around their community. We know that through your Action for Healthy Kids School Grant for Healthy Kids, you're taking an action. So we are thrilled that you're in a step 2 of our process, and we're hoping that that grant leads you to step 3, which is transform, making a school culture a sustainable and lasting environment to support children's health. So hopefully with your Action for Healthy Kids grant, you'll be able to develop some cultural changes in your school around policy, programs, and practices to make it a healthier place. And the simple truth is we really all have a role to play in supporting children's health because every kid needs to be healthy. It's the idea that most people on the phone probably could easily raise their hand and get on board with if we were all in the same room. If I said, do you think children deserve to be healthy? But what the research really shows us is kids who don't eat nutritiously and enjoy regular physical activity really may be at an academic disadvantage. And in a world where academics are very important, we want to make sure that students have every advantage they have that they can get to support their learning environment. In Action for Healthy Kids, we call this the learning connection, what you need to know to ensure your kids are healthy and ready to learn. This is a report that Action for Healthy Kids released in 2013 that shows parents and decision makers in schools what they need to know about healthy kids and the connection to academics. At the core of the Learning Connection report is a really simple equation, and you see it here on the screen. That is good food plus active bodies equals kids equipped for success. And it shows that schools that offer students healthier food and more time to be active are seeing increased fitness levels, better student behavior and higher test scores, and even higher graduation rates. So as you saw on that last slide, simply put, kids who don't eat nutritiously and enjoy regular physical activity are at an academic disadvantage. That could mean that kids in the community right next to yours are being given greater opportunities for success if they're following healthy practices. So at Action for Healthy Kids, we have a number of resources that you can use as a school-granted school to make sure that you're really giving your students all of the academic advantage they can through overall school wellness. This is a kind of a secondary impact of your grant that we ask you to focus on. We know that you're doing a project or a program that you submitted to us through an application, but what we're really hoping that that program or that project supports is your overall school wellness culture. We want to make sure that you have ongoing initiatives that facilitate student buy-in, parent buy-in, and community buy-in to healthy kids and what it will do for your school. So Action for Healthy Kids Game On program is an example of a free online program that you can use and tailor to your school's own particular needs. It's a program that helps schools practice good nutrition and physical activity habits with the ultimate goal of getting your school nationally recognized as a health promoting school. So as I mentioned before, through our Learn, Act, Transform model, you're acting with your school grant right now, but we're hoping that your school will be transformed to become a nationally certified health promoting school. And the program is really organized into 6 steps to help guide your school in creating a sound, sustainable school wellness framework. The Game On program includes more than 70 fun and easy to implement activity ideas that focus around 2 categories, eat better and moving more. So whether you have a school breakfast grant or a Every Kid Healthy grant focusing on physical activity and nutrition education, you're going to find resources in our Game On program that can support the work that you're doing. These activities are organized into rooms within your school building, as pictured on the blueprint on the screen here, so you can easily search for ideas. So for example, if you're doing a school breakfast grant and you're looking for ideas on how to implement your breakfast program and success stories from other schools across the country, you can click on the cafeteria part of the blueprint to see breakfast-related ideas. If you have an Every Kid Healthy grant and you're looking for nutrition or physical activity guidelines or resources, you can click on the playground, the gym, the classroom, the bike rack, anywhere on this blueprint to get the activities that match what you're working on. So as I mentioned before, Game On is organized into 6 steps that follow our School Grants for Healthy Kids process. Step 1 is gather your team. So when you submitted your MOA with us, you submitted names of your 5-person school wellness team. those are volunteers and school staff, maybe some parents and community members as well, that are going to serve to support not only your grant, but hopefully a larger school culture around wellness. Step 2 is assess and track your progress, which you also already completed through doing the School Health Index, which is identifying areas in your school that are areas of strength and areas for improvement around school wellness. From that School Health Index assessment that you did, an action plan was generated. This action plan can serve as a clear roadmap for your wellness team with outlining priorities and goals for you to work on in the coming year. You may also have an action plan around your School Grants for Healthy Kids initiative. Step 4 is finding activities using the blueprint that I just showed you previously, which will help identify resources and tools that line up with your school's needs. Step 5 is promoting engagement of families and communities, where you're going to partner with your parents, your volunteer, and any local community organizations that might support you in school wellness and help promote a consistent message around health and wellness to your students, and also will help you to ensure sustainability in future years. And step 6 is really being recognized for the work that you're doing as a healthy school through the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge. So as I mentioned, this step 6, the goal of Game On is really to get your school nationally certified. And awards and recognition, as you probably know, will help to cement your school's wellness identity, which is also a positive for you because it helps you market the work that you're doing within your school. Any positive recognition that your school receives is likely to leave your school community wanting more. And awards and recognitions help put your school wellness initiatives in a very favorable light. One of these programs that we specifically encourage here at Action for Healthy Kids is the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge, Smarter Lunchrooms Initiative. It's a voluntary program that was established in 2004 by the USDA to recognize schools in the National School Lunch and School Breakfast program that are creating healthier school food environments through nutrition and physical activity. The Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge emphasizes developing lifelong healthy habits and ways that schools can support that habit development while receiving a certification that demonstrates to your community a commitment to school health and wellness. The certification lasts for 4 years and has different award levels: bronze, silver, gold, and gold award with distinction. So why should we apply? We've listed a few of the many benefits of this Healthier School Award, but some of them include a monetary incentive. Awarded schools will receive funding to support future health and wellness activities. This is great if you are able to use your Action for Healthy Kids grant to apply for the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge. You might be able to get some funding to continue that program in future years. It builds school spirit and creates positive publicity and lets others in your community know about a really positive thing that's happened. A lot of times we hear in the media and the news some of the negatives around education and local schools and districts, but this is an opportunity to celebrate your school's success in improving health and wellness in the future. By receiving a national recognition, you can also build school spirit and really increase support and momentum around your school health initiatives to garner future support to keep things going. It also supports the learning connection, which we talked about earlier. We know that healthy kids learn better. So schools that offer students healthier food and more time to be active are seeing higher fitness levels, better student behavior, higher test scores, and higher graduation rates. Healthy School Certification demonstrates that your school supports educational outcomes as it helps to ensure that every student is healthy and ready to learn. And taking the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge is ultimately a way for your school to be a leader in the efforts to end childhood obesity. Take a look around a kindergarten classroom today, and you'll find that about half of these kids will be obese adults. By providing a healthy environment early on and through school, we can help kids develop the habits necessary to lead a long and healthy life. Your Action for Healthy Kids state coordinator, who's going to be providing technical assistance around your school grant for healthy kids, will give you more information about the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge. But it's a great way to goal to work towards as you kick off the school year. And as we talk about kicking off the school year, I'm now going to turn it over to Ellen Dillon, who is going to talk specifically about your school grant for healthy kids that you were awarded.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you everyone for attending our webinar today. We're really, really excited to have you with us. As Hannah said, congratulations on your award. The focus that you're doing with your schools on school wellness, whether it be through school breakfast or physical activity and nutrition programs, really make a difference. We also want to thank our partners who helped to fund our initiatives, from the Walmart Foundation, CSX Train Company, the Kellogg Company, and Kellogg's Company Fund, all of whom are funding our efforts to help you make a difference in the students' lives at your school. So we had a great number of schools apply for our grants this year, and we were able to award nearly 1,000 schools over the country. Our grants are ranging in award amounts from $500 for some sustainability grants to $2,500 awards, depending upon your initiative. Our focus is that we have grants that focus on school breakfast, as well as alternative breakfast models and universal breakfast, and also physical activity, increasing the opportunity for students to be active in the school day and around the school. We've added a nutrition component to the physical activity grant, and it's now, we call it Every Kid Healthy Grant. So depending upon where you're located, you might have had opportunity for different grants in your state. Some of you have been awarded maybe potentially a breakfast grant as well as an Every Kid Healthy grant, because we know that you're focusing on two different areas within your school. What I'm going to do is kind of go through a little bit about some of the impact of our grants over the years. We've been awarding breakfast grants since 2009. Over the years, we've impacted over 183,000 students, increasing breakfast participation in 40 states, and offered over 1,800 schools with breakfast grant funding to impact their breakfast programming. To move a program from a traditional breakfast in the cafeteria to an alternative model, and or adding in a universal or free breakfast component to those schools. We have had an extremely great amount of success when we see the percentage of increase that our schools are experiencing. Most of our schools are experiencing anywhere around 50% increases. Now, will all schools increase by that much? Likely not. Some will, some won't, some will far exceed that. So we know that this is just an average, but it helps you to be able to see what your opportunities are. Next slide. So I'm going to go over the breakfast grants for a few minutes, and they're broken down. We have different breakfast grants. So if you're not sure where you fall, you might be able to tell based upon your awards. So we have a school building breakfast grant, which was designed to impact one or two schools within a district, and very singularly to those schools. So it's not involving so much the district personnel, but it's individual schools. And they are receiving $1,750 to increase breakfast participation by moving to an alternative model, whether it be breakfast in the classroom, where breakfast is brought to students while they're in their class, in their first period or homeroom, or at the start of their day, a grab and go where they grab it as they enter the building and either take it to their classroom, or perhaps even like in high school, where they might just be eating it on the way to the class. We also can see it in a breakfast after first period, often called second chance breakfast, where there's a time built into the schedule that allows students to either visit a kiosk or visit the cafeteria to receive breakfast. We're starting to see really interesting models, such as breakfast on the school bus, breakfast at the curb. Depending upon where you're located, we know that students A can be on the bus for a really long period of time in some of our more rural locations around the country. So breakfast on the bus, it might be an option for you, where breakfast is added to the bus just like it was being brought to the cafeteria, and it's cleaned up at the end just like it would have been if it was brought, into the classroom. And then we also have universal breakfast. We know that when there is a high enough need, meaning that your free and reduced levels are high enough, it makes sense to offer breakfast free for all students. It removes the stigma that's related to those students eating breakfast, that they feel separate from others, and it also helps to minimize the workload that our food service folks are dealing with when trying to move people through the line and run through cards and tracking and things like that. So free breakfast really does make sense. So if it's, whether it be through Provision 2 or community eligibility, we highly recommend it. And the goal here is that the impact we'll be seeing is an increase by 25%. Now this is not 25 percentage points, but it's an increase of 25% over the starting point, the baseline. And so we do a comparison from year to year, non-grant year versus grant year, to see what the impact is. So you'll be collecting your average daily participation on your breakfast on a monthly basis and importing that into our system when it's time for our reporting mechanisms at midterm and final. We also want to see that you are providing nutritional information to both students as well as parents. And this can be done in lots of different ways. We'll be providing tips and strategies through our School Grants for Healthy Kids monthly newsletter on ways that you can share information related to nutritional efforts with parents in particular. And then we also have our Universal Breakfast Grant. This is focused in certain states. Not all states have this grant. There's an $1,000 sustainability grant, and that's for repeated schools. So if a school was funded last year, they have the opportunity to repeat their funding this year for additional equipment or to do some initiatives to continue their efforts or create additional sustainability. Again, it's moving that into an alternative model, but the focus here is that all students are provided breakfast at no charge. We can also see here that the impact is a bit different. We would like to be able to see that schools strive to achieve an increase to their average daily participation to 85%. So depending upon your starting point, this is a very real and attainable number. We're seeing it more and more as our schools are coming in and putting in the efforts into place to really make the difference. Breakfast in the classroom and grab and go are two of the models that we know that when added with a free breakfast will help to really help you get to that 85% mark. You absolutely can even get higher, but we know that we want our schools to strive to that 85% mark, as well as sharing nutrition information with both students and parents. We also have Every Kid Healthy grants. Our Every Kid Healthy grants are focused in 13 states, and it's a bit of fairly new grant for Action for Healthy Kids. We've only been doing this for a couple of years now, but as you can see here, our goal has been that all schools are going to be implementing at minimum a 30 minutes of physical activity per day. And what we're seeing is that we're seeing an additional 16 minutes of new minutes added to that physical activity per day. So some schools may have already been at that 30 mark, and others are adding more minutes to reach that 30-minute mark, but bringing up an average of 16 new minutes per day. And so we're seeing a lot of impact, as you see from these pictures. They're fun, they're exciting, kids are excited about it, and our schools are really engaged with the physical activity grants, because it really provides an opportunity for all kids to be active, whether, no matter what their free and reduced rate is, or whether what their physical ability is. We provide lots of opportunities to engage all students around physical activity. So the grants range from $500 to $2,500, and they can do lots of different things, from adding additional equipment for indoor or outdoor recess, providing additional playground equipment, play space makeovers, providing opportunities to train and learn around classroom energizers and brain breaks, providing additional equipment to allow for more PE and before and after school activities, and fitness grants, type testing and assessments. So it really does depend on what you want and what your school needs. This year we've added the optional nutrition component, where you could maybe add some of your dollars towards some other efforts that are going on in your school, really making this a well-rounded wellness grant. So perhaps your school had a school garden, and maybe you just need a little bit of extra funding to purchase some more seeds, or bring in a chef to share with your gardening club to be able to provide them with more opportunity to learn. So you really can do lots of different things with this grant. The goal here is a minimum that all schools reach at least 30 minutes per day of physical activity. So, as Hannah mentioned earlier, our Action for Healthy Kids have a state coordinator that supports our state. And if you don't have a state coordinator that's based in your state, you've been assigned a state coordinator from a neighboring state that will help oversee your grant. In addition, you have a primary grant lead that oversees the grant from a national level. So you'll be able to be in full contact with your state coordinator. They'll be sending you newsletters on a monthly basis. They may be calling you and sending you personal emails, checking in, seeing how you're doing, offering technical assistance as you move forward with the grant, answering any questions that you might have. Any questions that you also might have that they can't answer, or you need to submit to a general question, you can send to schoolgrants@actionforhealthykids.org. It's a banned email that we are using to be able to communicate with our schools regarding the grant. But please note that your state coordinator will be able to also provide you with some additional local perspective. They might be able to connect you with a local partner. They might be able to provide some other coordination of efforts that might help you more than a national perspective may be able to help you. As Hannah also mentioned, we asked you to form a wellness team, and there's a reason for that. We really do believe that a team really helps to spread the work, spread the efforts that you're making, so it's not only on one person's shoulder. We know the project lead may be carrying the bulk of the load, but we also know that things change, people's jobs change, and people move in and out. So we know that rather than have one person be responsible and then the project leave with that one person, if that person should leave or for some reason not be available, then we know other people within the school are also working towards it. And it is the first step in the game on process to help move you towards that certification, that ultimate goal of certification. Our state coordinators will be communicating primarily with our primary grant contacts, but they will also be communicating with our 5-person wellness team with important information regarding the grants and updates as we move forward. So as you can see, we have a lot of resources, and we will be offering you a lot of opportunities to make sure your grant is successful. We're not just a pocketbook. We don't just put out money and then hope things work out for you and your schools. We really want to see you meet with success. And in order to do that, we're providing you a lot of different opportunities. We have content-specific webinars. You'll be receiving information on those webinars for the year and follow-up materials, and you'll be getting their physical activity focus, their parent focus. There's some that are focused on school breakfast, Game On, Healthy U.S. Schools Challenge. So whatever it might be that you have interest in, or perhaps there's others on your team that might have interest, feel free to share about our webinars out, because they really will help you help make your school successful in your grant as well as your wellness efforts. You have the assistance of the experts in the field, whether it be the national staff, the state coordinators, or state volunteers. Many of our states where we have funded schools have local volunteers as well. So we may be able to connect you with even more resources than just our Action for Healthy Kids staffers. As I mentioned, we can connect you to local resources. We know that there are other organizations that do the similar work that might be in your county or your district, and then we might be able to help provide you with, a local farmer or a local farm school opportunity that you can bring into your school to share with students. It depends, whatever it might be that you're looking for, we can often help make that happen for you. Our goal is to help train that 5-person wellness team so that you can create the successful implementation of your grant and long-term sustainability. So we'll be offering you opportunities either very local to you or maybe nearby where you could go to receive additional training to help make your wellness policy something that's strong and able to be sustained and really make a difference in your school, something with some teeth in it. We will provide you with resources such as toolkits and newsletters. We'll help you with evaluation measures. We'll provide you an opportunity where you can share with others and share with others and learn best practices, and then also assistance with communication efforts. So when it's time to communicate out with your parents, we'll provide you some tips. If it's communicating out with local community members and other partners, we can provide you some language that will help you share about your grant. Here's the project timeline. Most of you have seen this in that you applied for the grant. You're aware that the grant is, the first award is 65% of grant funds. Many of you have already received that first installment, and the second, if you haven't already, it should be coming your way very, very shortly, depending upon when you submitted your terms and conditions and 5-person wellness team and completed your school health index. So you do want to follow your budget and timeline that you outlined on your application, because that's what we have approved. If you do have a need to change it for whatever reason, just touch base with your state coordinator. You'll have their information. You should already have it. They've probably already touched base with you, and they'll let you know if there's any more that needs to be done in terms of any changes that need to be made. The biggest thing you need to know is our funding can only really be used for certain things. It's primarily used for equipment, printing of materials, perhaps some money for incentives, being very careful with the amount of money you put towards incentives, because once those funds are gone, those incentives are gone too. And if you're using incentives to just really get kids to participate, then it's very hard to sustain that. Note here, if you are a breakfast grant in particular, our funds cannot be used for food except for food for taste tests. So if you're doing an event or you want to taste test new breakfast materials or menu items, those are acceptable. However, you cannot add additional fruit or vegetables to your serving line and have that be reimbursed by Action for Healthy Kids. Again, that money will quickly disappear, and then your sustainability will go away with it. It also cannot be used for staffing expenses. Our goal is that, especially around school breakfast, you're going to increase your participation levels enough that you're going to have enough of a increase in your reimbursement from your state and or USDA that you're going to be able to pay for any more staff that you might need or anything that you might need in terms of future equipment. So you cannot use our funds for staffing and food that would normally be reimbursed. As mentioned, we do have reporting. We have a report that's due at the midterm, and we know this is not quite the midterm point because, you know, schools are just starting, but it's a nice break because it's right before the winter break for most schools. So we have the report for the first installment for the first semester, and then the second installment gets cut after that. So once you've submitted it, we have to go through a review process. We check it over, and then we submit that second installment. It is then sent to the same address that you have indicated to us where it should be sent. If it is having trouble getting to you, make sure you let us know so that we can make sure your address is one that will get the check to you and to a certain person's attention and things like that. We do have a report due in March for our Every Kid Healthy survey, and it's really designed to, we have an Every Kid Healthy week, as most of you should know, which is designed to celebrate school wellness, and it's a national holiday. Caroline's going to talk a little bit more about that, and all of our granted schools are to be hosting some type of Every Kid Healthy event. Don't worry, like I said, Caroline's going to talk a little bit more about that. It can be as small as a taste test or something that you're already doing, but it has to have some type of wellness focus, nutrition, physical activity, and then you have an opportunity to engage others around it, your students, your families, maybe other community members. So we touch base by March to find out what you plan to do in April of 2015, or 16, excuse me. The final project report is due May 27th. Note, this is May 27th. Many of you are in schools that end perhaps May 15th, May 30th. If you need to, you should start your final report earlier so that you're able to submit it with enough time that if there are questions, we can follow up. It's very difficult for both the schools and our staff to follow up after everyone's left. So please make sure you submit in a timely manner. It's really important. We owe our funders reports based on what you're doing, and so without it, we're left with holes in our report. So we really do appreciate the fact that you submit your reports in a timely manner. We might be also connecting with you for success stories. So if you're finding that things are really going well or something really has struck you, like a student who may not have ever been very physically active, suddenly really interested in I don't know, yoga or jump rope or something because of something that you've done through your grant, tell us about it. We have lots of opportunities for whether it be national or local exposure for these types of success stories, as well as everybody likes to learn from others. So share the good news as often as you can. We do ask for photos, and we really want to see pictures of the children in action. Obviously, most of your schools are doing photo releases at the very beginning of the school year. Probably most have already been collected. That would also mean the release for submitting photos to Action for Healthy Kids. 2 are due at the midterm, and 3 are due at the final report. On the next slide, we're going to see some pictures that you'll see, one of which is a great picture. Maybe you've seen it in a newsletter or something that we've sent to you. We find this as a great picture. We can see exactly what it is. It's a picture of a child eating breakfast with breakfast in the classroom. We note that there's no real identifying logos or items. We can see she's drinking probably milk. There's not much else that's, no other product endorsement or product placement there. Then we see the picture on the right. Well, not as great of a picture. I mean, it's in focus, it's clear, but really what does it tell us, or what does it do for this grant? Not much. I mean, whether it be a breakfast grant or a healthy eating grant, or this child happens to be in the cafeteria for some reason or another. So that really doesn't tell much of the story. So when we think of a picture telling, telling the story of 1,000 words, we really want to be able to know what the words are without having to interpret it too much either. So please think about that when you're setting up your pictures. Try not to have them see too stage pictures. Look stage. So as much as you can, try to keep it as candid shots and clear and in focus, and looking around at what else is going on in the picture. Thanks. And now we're going to hear from Caroline about promoting your grant.
Great. Thanks so much, Ellen, and thanks everyone again for joining us. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions, be sure to enter them in the question box in your control panel, and we'll be getting to those throughout the call as well as answering some at the end of the call. So thanks, Ellen, for giving a great overview of the school grants, your project implementation, and we know that folks are really excited to have received a breakfast grant or an Every Kid Healthy grant. And here at Action for Healthy Kids, we're really excited to be working with you also. So as you begin going back to school, beginning to put together your school wellness team, incorporating how you're going to implement your grant program, please know that we want to work closely with you to promote your grant as well. Action for Healthy Kids will be putting out a national press release, so you will receive a copy of the press release along with additional messages and resources and press release templates that have been approved that you can use for your school, for your local media and local resources to promote your grant. So we ask that all schools hold off on issuing any type of local press release until you receive further notification from your state coordinator via the school grants newsletter or just when your state coordinator communicates with you, because at that point you can then put out your press release either using the Action for Healthy Kids template or the content that has been provided, and you can communicate with your school representatives, parents, community about the benefits of your grant that you've received and all of the great and exciting things that will come in the upcoming year. Just as a reminder, be sure to take plenty of pictures so that way you can share that during your reporting as well. Let's see. As Ellen mentioned, we have Every Kid Healthy Week activities. So Every Kid Healthy Week is recognized as a national health observance. So it's on the National Health Observance calendar, recognized during the last week of April. So in 2016, we're already thinking ahead, will be held April 25th to the 29th. Every Kid Healthy Week is really a national movement that's focused on the nation's problem of childhood obesity as well as its solutions, sound nutrition, regular physical activity, and health-promoting school programs. So all of the great work that you will be doing as part of your grant program, we really want to use this as an opportunity to promote the work that you're currently doing. So as Ellen mentioned, schools will be hosting a celebratory event of sorts to really recognize your school grant. It could be anything as simple as hosting a school taste testing to any other types of events that your school already has as part of your school wellness activities. We ask that schools host events during the month of April. It's fantastic if you can host any type of Every Kid Healthy Week event during Every Kid Healthy Week, April 25th to 29th, but we understand that there is testing or other types of activities involved throughout the month. So we really want to work with schools to host an event that's suitable and flexible to meet your needs. As we mentioned, this is an opportunity to also incorporate your Game On 6 steps, to incorporate the community and family partners, to invite them to your school, to come see the school garden, to take part in physical activity at the school, to paint a healthy mural in school cafeteria, to do yoga after school. Schools have really thought of such creative and unique types of activities that they're already hosting, or they're looking to add a health component to an already existing school event. So if you have some sort of parent-teacher night and you're adding a health component, schools host health fairs, family fun runs, activities with the students, community partners, and other school representatives. So look for more information to come. We will be hosting a webinar specifically on Every Kid Healthy Week activities, so you'll be receiving additional resources, toolkits, and opportunities to highlight your school activities. The report that Ellen mentioned that's due March 31st, this is a really simple report. It's really just to notify us of what type of school event you will be hosting, if it is a taste testing, or a physical activity event, or a health fair. Just giving us details about your event, what date the event is hosted on, as well as how many anticipated folks you would expect to participate in your event. So we've had such great feedback from schools. Schools have continued to host Every Kid Healthy Week events even after the grant, so it's a really great opportunity to highlight your school wellness activities. All of our funded schools will be receiving Every Kid Healthy promotional items. So you'll be receiving an Every Kid Healthy kit as part of your school grant. Your application, as you noticed when you were filling out your budget section, there was automatically $100 that were auto-filled in the budget section. And this was to incorporate our Every Kid Healthy promotional items that all of the schools will be receiving. You'll receive your kit at the end of September, so look for that to come by the end of the month. And as you are receiving your second installment check after you complete your midterm report, just note that the $100 will be deducted from the 35% of the award. All of our school grants will be receiving, grantees will be receiving these kits except for the sustainability grants. All of these schools should have received your kits last year. So you'll be receiving additional information and resources on how you can use all of these great items that you'll be receiving for your Every Kid Healthy kit. So some promotional items included are these great Every Kid Healthy banners. Be sure to showcase these during your Every Kid Healthy Week events, as well as during any of your school wellness activities. We know that some schools have actually hung their banner up year-round, so it's a great way to promote all of your wellness initiatives. You'll also be receiving some posters that can be displayed in cafeterias, hallways, at events, some physical activity items, as well as a letter to your school principal recognizing and really commending all of your great efforts for implementing the school grant program. So here are some images of the posters that you'll receive. So they incorporate both nutrition and physical activity, and these are great resources to display at your school. Another way to incorporate enhancing your school wellness events and activities is to really incorporate volunteers as a resource. We realize that it really does take a village to help raise a healthy child. So really working with parents, school representatives, as well as community partners to really engage and support and really grow your school wellness program. We do have our state coordinators that will be reaching out to all of our primary school contacts, but they'll also be able to provide you with resources, state team partners, partner organizations that can help assist you with your school grant events and activities. And really, taking the opportunity to engage volunteers, the benefits of really working with volunteers to help support your Every Kid Healthy Week events. If you do need help chopping fruit or hanging signs up or setting up activities for your health event, we realize that volunteers are really crucial for this type of work. So volunteers can also offer new perspectives. You can also even connect with state coordinators to seek out a specific skill set. So if you are looking for a yoga instructor or a Zumba instructor or a chef to come in to do some local activities and events with your schools. Volunteers can really make a lasting impact and contribute with their skill set, expertise, and just provide their time as well as a helping hand. So working with Action for Healthy Kids really allows a great opportunity as well as resources to help support your needs. So as far as next steps, as Ellen mentioned, you'll be working with your school wellness team, so your 5-member wellness team. You should have already received your first installment check. So if you haven't, please be sure to contact your state coordinator and we'll work on getting that processed. Reviewing your school wellness program that you've selected. So as Hannah provided an overview of the Game On program, really taking advantage of the great resources as well as activities that are outlined. All of this information will be provided in a follow-up email as well, so you'll have the direct link to all of those resources as well. You'll also be able to work with your school wellness team to create an action plan and sign up for webinars, for do-it-yourself series. We have our Wellness Wednesday webinars that highlight a different topic every month to incorporate as part of your school wellness program. So we encourage you to share that with your fellow school representatives, parents, community representatives as well to really help promote various school wellness resources. And as you are implementing your school program, your grant program in the beginning of the year, be sure to have fun. This is a great opportunity for you to work closely with your students as you are implementing your Breakfast in the Classroom program, looking for opportunities to host case testing as you are possibly revising menu items, working with your teachers as you're implementing brain breaks, and really supporting all of your grant initiatives and programs, and being sure to take pictures along the way. This is a great opportunity that we can work with schools to highlight your school grant program through our national efforts, through state level efforts, as well as through your local community. So we encourage everyone, if you haven't already, to follow us via social media. Stay up to date on success stories, health tips, physical activity games, recipes, volunteer opportunities, lots of ways to get connected with Action for Healthy Kids, as well as activities going on in your state. So follow us on Facebook, Pinterest. We have lots of resources available as well on YouTube. So look for follow-up information from your state coordinators via your school grant newsletters, as well as information about activities going on in your state or school health team trainings or other resources that can help support your grant program. And so we encourage everyone to log on to our website, take the Every Kid Healthy Pledge. It'll provide you with programs, resources, link you with other great program information such as our Parents for Healthy Kids, volunteer opportunities, information about upcoming school grant opportunities, and the Learning Connection report that was reviewed earlier. So as Ellen mentioned, every state does have a state coordinator or an assigned state coordinator for your state. So we will be sending the direct link for your state coordinator contact information if they haven't already reached out to you. But if you do have general questions, feel free to submit those to School Grants at Action for Healthy Kids, and your state coordinator or someone from the national office will definitely get back to you and provide you any follow-up information that you need. So be sure to submit your questions in the question box. And Hannah or Ellen, do we have any questions that have come in?
We do have a few questions, and I'll go ahead. A few of these questions have come in. Others might have similar questions, so we'll go ahead and ask them since we have a minute or two. There was a question as to whether schools will receive copies of the PowerPoint.
Great question. So yes, today, after today's call, we will send a follow-up email with the recording to today's call, as well as the PowerPoint slides and some additional links and resources to the Game On, Learning Connection, your state coordinator contact. So we will send all of this in a follow-up email.
Great, thank you. And then we had a question regarding a new school who was funded on the later side just submitted their terms and conditions. Will, or MOU, depending upon how you're used to hearing it or referring to that, will that hold up receiving the promotional item?
Yes, good question. So if you have just recently signed your terms and agreement or your MOA, then you still will be receiving your Every Kid Healthy promotional kit, and we'll be sure to work with our accounting department to get your check, your first installment check processed, and be sure that you're included on the promotional kit order as well.
Super. And then we also have a question as to how someone can get a copy of their award letter for their grant.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So you can either reach out to your state coordinator or submit to schoolgrants@actionforhealthykids.org, and we can send that to you. All award notifications were sent via email to the primary grant contact that submitted the application. So you can always connect with that person to have the email award notification letter sent to you. But if that person is no longer there or they aren't able to access and retrieve the award email, then we can always resend it.
We have a question about media. When do you suggest that we submit the media information to our newspapers?
Good question. So as we reviewed our School Grants national press release, the national office will be issuing a press release later this month. And so you will receive follow-up notification from your state coordinator that will provide you with a template and content information to use that you can put in your own school press release. But we ask that all schools hold off on issuing a press release until you receive the national press release within the next 2 weeks or so.
Great. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, I want to take this time as well to thank everyone on the call today. Thank Hannah and Ellen, and thank you all for attending today's call. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact your state coordinator for follow-up. And we look forward to working with you for another great school grant year. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. Have a great day.